Hello, welcome back to my channel. I have a special guest Guinness with me today. He was a little excited. We just went for our last walks of the evening, so getting a little bit excited. So he just wanted to come settle down next to me, rather than better than attacking boy. So yeah, he might lick the bed a wee bit. You might hear some noises. It's just him. He often gets quite overstimulated and needs a little something to get it out of his system, kind of thing. But yeah, I have a few updates for you. Biggest thing that's happened to me in the last couple of weeks is I basically had a bit of a flame out and essentially had a nervous breakdown. And I've now been diagnosed with anxiety and depression, which I am getting medication for, and I will be starting therapy. So it's kind of like a good and bad thing. It's it's never fun to have any like mental health episodes, but in the long run, I'm now able to get help. I've realized how badly my mental health was declining, and I'm getting help. And so ultimately, in the long run, it will probably lead me to be a better person to myself, to my family, to everyone really that I interact with, and just much healthier all around, and hopefully we'll go on and really flourish in the next few years instead of just the kind of drowning that I have been doing for a few years now. So yeah, I mainly just mention, I don't want a pity party or anything. I mainly just mention it because I think it's quite important that conversations around mental health are destigmatized, especially in amongst males. So it's kind of traditionally been been an issue that is quite difficult for males to talk about, and I definitely have a few friends who have had major struggles with depression throughout the years, and sadly I've lost a few people I've known through suicide and stuff. So yeah, it's just more want to just be quite clear about that, and yeah, and hopefully it will lead to me being able to post on here more often. So one of my really main giveaways that I was going through this, and it was massively declining, was my lack of reading this year, and it's not through the lack of trying. It's been so hard to concentrate, and I've started so many books and just abandoned them. And I think I got to a point where that, and amongst other key factors, I just realized it was too much for me. I just realized, yeah, I've actually been spiraling for a long time now. So the good thing, good thing is I'm off work at the moment, just from on medical leave. Don't know how long I'll be off. Good chance that I'm not going back to that job, which, to be honest, is in the long run is probably the best thing for me. But the main advantage is I've actually been able to read. I've read 3 books this week, which I don't think I've read 3 books in the last 5 months. So that's actually been really nice. It's felt like I'm kind of getting on the road back to feeling like my old self again, which is nice. So I might as well just talk about the books that I have read. So first off, I read Death in the Old Country by Eric Wright. This is part of the Charlie Salta mystery series. This is Canadian. I think this was published in the 80s, 1985. Um, it's the third one in the series. So Eric Wright was born in the UK and he moved to Canada in adult life. Very similar to what I did. And so this book sees our protagonist, Inspector Charlie Salter, going on holiday to the UK and traveling around with his wife, and inexplicably gets embroiled and mixed up with a murder. And yeah, it has quite a funny few jokes about UK life. It's great because he's from the UK, grew up in the UK, and then moved to Canada. He can kind of make jokes about both sides equally, and obviously I've done the same, so I like understand these jokes a bit more nuanced. And yeah, it's much better than when North Americans tend to write about the UK. It tends to be like overly romanticized, and even when it's not, sometimes the humor just doesn't hit as good. But this one was really good. It kind of I just picked this up on a whim. I actually thought maybe this might be a little cozy-esque, but it really wasn't. It was far from it. It actually had quite a lot of swearing, and it had some good dark jokes. There was a point where he's talking to the local inspector, and because the main suspect in it is Italian immigrant, and the inspector's saying, "Oh, you must be used to this. You must be used to this kind of murder all the time with all the immigrants you have in Canada." And our protagonist responds, being like, "Oh yes, what we lack in is the good old English crime where, you know, the local vicar is found with 14 bodies in his basement." It was just such a good little dig. It was amazing. Yeah, and it was quite good. I really enjoyed it. And I never heard it. It's Canadian as well, so I knew it was Canadian just because like the Montreal Gazette is the blurb at the back. But yeah, I definitely will be looking out for more. Probably go back to that bookstore at some point, and there was a few more of them. I just thought I'd grab one just to see what it was like. I don't want to grab 3 or 4 of them. I read one, it's gonna be terrible. So yeah, I think I'll go back and see if they have them still. And then I've been reading on my Kindle. Just because I've been late in bed a lot of the times. Even though I've actually moved the house around a wee bit, and I have a lot of books in the bedroom. I previously just had them all in the spare room. But now I have them a lot in the bedroom. But it's just been so easy to just have my Kindle going, and I can like read way out into the night. Like the first few days that I was off, I just wasn't sleeping at all. This has been really good, and it means I could read. I don't have to bother having a light on it at night time. I could just read on this for a long time. So I ended up reading Cop Hater by Ed McBain. This is part of Criminoli's long, expansive reading of all of the Ed McBain 86th Precinct books, which I think because it's like 50 something of them, it's going to take 4.5 years because it's going to be one a month. But November starts this November, so read Cop Hater, which is actually a reread for me. I don't do a lot of rereading just because I have so many books here that I haven't read. And there's so many books, and there's constantly books being published and republished that I want to read. So I don't do a lot of rereading, but it was quite good. I must have read Cop Hater about 20 years ago now, probably. Definitely read it when I was still in the UK working for the Royal Mail, because I remember talking to my friend about it. That I had a friend at work that used to read extensively and read a lot of the same things that I read, so we had a lot of book chats in the in the office. And yeah, I had a bunch of other Edward Bain books. I kept collecting them, and I just never read them. But yeah, I remember this one was as good as I remember it. It's uh, quite a fast paced book. Doesn't hang around for very long, and it's basically um, at the start we find out a cop is shot, and then Steve Carell and his partner Bush are investigating, and we introduced to some other cops in the precinct, and it's done really well because especially because it's the first one, you kind of don't know who, um, you really don't know who's gonna survive. It's supposedly that it is somebody that hates cops, that is doing it, and so there is a kind of real fear of like who will survive, who won't, and it leads into it, and um, yeah, it's quite effectively done. I kind of halfway, kind of not even halfway through, maybe a quarter, a third of the way through, kind of remembered where it was going. But it was still good. It was still a good read. It didn't really knowing the outcome didn't really affect my enjoyment of the book. So that was quite fun, and I read it really quickly. I've been working on especially now that some of the intrusive thoughts and voices in my head are kind of tampered down a little bit. I've been able to work on reading faster, using some of the techniques that MJ in their videos were talking about, and using other people's techniques and stuff, and just kind of the more you read, the quicker you'll be anyway. So I actually read that pretty quickly, and then just today I finished Gang Rumble by Edward S. Aarons. This was recommended by Nick in the Book Graveyard. He did a great video on it a few months back. It's a new Black Cat books, I believe. It's a new release from them. It's Black Cat is like an offshoot of Stark House Press, long-term republishers of old crime novels, and this is actually a juvenile delinquent book, and it's really good. It's basically you've got two juvenile delinquents. One's poor from a place called the Jungle, and one's rich, a place called from Society Hill. One's kind of a victim of circumstances, where one is more of a victim of psychosis. And then you also have the old style cop who is rough and tumble and basically has a very old style. I mean, this was written in the late 50s. So it's old style even for the late 50s. Is very much basically, this is like pre-Miranda rights. This is pre any kind of like rights for suspects kind of thing. So he's harking back to the way you could just beat anything out of anybody. Just kind of think of some of the like Raymond Chandler, Philip Marlowe novels where it's just like they could just kind of arrest you and then beat a confession out of you and no one cared. And sometimes even extrajudicial killings. I mean, not that happens these days. No, never happened these days. Anyway, but regardless, so he's kind of old school and just wants, everything to be black and white, and he's bad. And then there's the more learned partner. He's younger and is more into trying to help these kids as well as apply the law. So it's not just, it's more, he's got more of a socially minded, and he's also in love with the older cop's daughter, so it's the dynamic there. And yeah, basically there's a rumble set up, but it's actually then used as a ruse for a warehouse robbery that's then goes wrong, someone gets shot. There's basically just a point where our poor protagonist feels like it's all gone wrong, and yeah, it's kind of and the psychotic the guy that's psychotic is kind of messed up in it too. There's not a whole lot of social moralizing. You often get a lot like kind of like, oh, this like a lot of social oh, if only people had cared. There's no real grandstanding. There's definitely mention that like the poor um character is definitely a victim of his circumstances, and that he did say that he did kind of excel. He was like too clever for school, like he like because he went to like a public school, that he was just kind of like his intelligence wasn't really recognized, and so he was kind of held behind, and then that actually just led to rebelliousness, and then as soon as he was tagged as a rebel, everyone just thought he was long gone, and didn't care about him after. And like he could have gone into like vocational studies and stuff, but people just tagged him as a rebel. And so because he was tagged as a rebel, it kind of like then there's the feedback loop of him being just like, well, if everyone thinks I'm a rebel, I'm definitely going to be a rebel, kind of thing. Whereas that was played against the rich character who had everything that he could possibly want, but he definitely had some psychosis, and just he was violent. He was obsessed with violence, and yeah, it was very interesting. Definitely very interesting, and it was a great read. Very, I agree with Nick that it's probably the best juvenile delinquent book I've ever read. So I highly recommend Gang Rumble by Edward S. Irons. I think it was originally published under Edward Ron's, but definitely the republished by Black Gap Books is by Edward Irons. So yeah, definitely worth checking that out. I think December's is probably going to be more of the same, more crime, more mystery. I'll see what else I'm gonna read. But yeah, I think I've really been enjoying getting back to reading crime novels again. I think my brain definitely really likes the mystery, likes the kind of the puzzle of it all, and kind of likes the little bit of social politics that they put into. But yeah, I'll see. Maybe I'll just pick up another book at random too. But yeah, I've really been enjoying reading on the Kindle, so I think I'll definitely probably pick up another one or two books on here, and I have some really weird stuff on there, so who knows? It could be quite the most random December reading. So I'll see you all soon. Hopefully it won't be too much longer, and hopefully I can keep posting a bit more regularly, because I do really enjoy making these YouTube videos, and I really do enjoy being on the BookTube. I've definitely been making more of an effort to leave comments this past couple of weeks, as I've been completely binge watching BookTube. So yeah, I'll see you all again soon, and have a great weekend. Bye.